All right. So now that we've talked about, like, if we're going to go from good to great, these things take time. We've got to find the time in our schedule, right? We've got to, we've got to make space. And the very first thing that we do is put those boundaries in by taking some days off and scheduling some time off. The next piece is the S, right? In disco, DISCO, and that is to shifting our focus. I was introduced this last summer to a tool that totally shifted my focus when it came to goal setting, scheduling, designing my blueprint for my life. And that is a tool called ULA. And it stands for having an ooh la la life. And I totally recommend signing up and trying out ULA for 90 days and see if it doesn't totally transform your direction for your life. Because here's the thing, like, we are all good at some things. Like, there are certain areas of our lives that we're like, I'm a rock star at. I totally get that. Like, I can run circles around it. But there are areas that we're neglecting and drifting, right? Drifting into failure. And so if we're going to shift our focus into 7 F's, and these came right out of my Ooh La La blueprint that I'm going to give you guys a link later on throughout this epic calendar party, because it is an online community, right? We're building an online community of people who are working and turning that abundance mindset into even bigger dreams and goals, which is really what we're doing here today. And I love that it's an online community. It has a tool, it has an app. We're daily tracking our goals, and we're staying just super hyper focused on where we're going, and we're doing it as a community. ULA does rock. There's actually many of you here today are ULA members, and it shifted my focus. And that's what we're going to talk about right now, are the 7 F's of purpose, right? Of having purpose in our life and being super, super focused. And so the first F is faith, right? Faith is the fuel that moves you, right? Faith will pull the fear right out of you, right? Because it eliminates the worry. And it doesn't necessarily mean religion, but for me, that is my God, right? Like, I have absolute faith, and you have your absolute faith in the world. But have you ever thought about having goals around your faith? So think about this. What is the one thing around your faith that you'd like to spend more time on, right? Who do you have faith in, right? Who do you want to have a stronger and deeper relationship with? Do you spend time with them every day? Do you provide faith for others? Are they watching out for you and watching what you're doing? And are you in your walk, right? I'm climbing this mountain to prove to others that it can be climbed. Are others watching you and following you for their faith? Can you provide more hope for others? Right? And a lot of times, having a stronger faith, having a deeper faith, means we can be a little bit more in control of our emotions. And it's our emotions that get us in trouble. Right? When we are led by our emotions, we can make some really funky decisions, right? And be in this space of not being, sure-footed about where we're going, not being sure-footed about the decisions that we're making and the direction that our life is taking. When you have control over your emotions, you can create more success and more happiness, not only for yourself, but for those around you. I saw a meme that said, I'll be all right, but first I have to have, my temper tantrum, right? I'm like, but what if you didn't have to have your temper tantrum first? What if you didn't have to get all out of sorts and freaked out and dramatic about everything that was happening to you? And that's where having a stronger faith comes from. You're on solid ground, a little bit more solid in your emotional state when you have that stronger faith. And so for your first F, right, we're going to go through 7 of them. I put up 10 fingers, but I meant 7. We're going to go through all 7 of them. But the very first one is around faith. Spending time with people who have faith in you will elevate your emotional quotient. Spending time with people who have faith, period, will elevate your emotional quotient, right? Your stability in your life, that calmness, that peace. And I think we all are looking more for that inner peace, but are we scheduling that? Do we have goals around that? What about, giving back and contributing back into the world? How are you giving back to the community, right? Serving others. When you can't, when things aren't going well, what is it? When things aren't going good, do good, right? Like what good can you do when somebody's always worse off than we are, right? And so, this is where you see, like, for the holidays, right? To kind of keep the commercialism and the reason of the season is to go back and give back into the world and pour into others. That's truly an area of faith, right? Of giving back and serving others. So, giving away and participating in causes that you are passionate about, really about feeding your soul. So if you were to write down, right, think about just how do I want to feed my soul every day? How do I want to strengthen my faith? And who do I want to hang out with? How do I want to give back? How do I want to be more, purposeful about the legacy that I'm leaving in this life? I would love you write down. So write down faith and then kind of your top 3 goals around that. Second F is family, right? Who are your top 5 relationships, right? They always say it's the people you hang out with, right? You are the equivalent of the top 5 people you hang out with, but think about your family, right? How do you want to be remembered? Do you have a dysfunctional family? We always had that magnet that said, we put the fun in dysfunctional, right? Because whose family isn't dysfunctional? Whose family isn't broken? And we all come, right? We all have things in our past or things in our relationship, right, that we kind of just want to like have in the corners, right? But how do you want to strengthen those relationships? Are there relationships in your family that you'd like to have a stronger bond with? And are you too busy for them, right? We always put out the china and the fun fancy, right, for the guests, but for our family, we just kind of, here's some leftovers on a paper plate, right? And which is fine because we're comfortable and we're cozy if that's it. But if they're just kind of getting the leftovers of you, right, at the end of the day, are you waving at me, Albert? No, right? Are they just getting like the end of the road leftovers? Like I come home and I'm too tired to cook. I'm too tired to smile. I'm too tired to be happy. Right? Like if they're the ones that are truly important to you, oh, he's got to go. That's why. If they're the ones that are truly important to you, are they getting the best parts of you, or are they just getting the leftovers? And so think about what you want your legacy to be, and who are those top people in your life that you'd love to have a stronger and closer relationship with. Schedule some time to be with them. We're going to put that in our calendar. We're going to block off special days. Tuesdays, I told you, are my kids' day off. So I block off Tuesdays, right? To spend time with them. Anniversary time. I want my husband to know that he's a priority in my life. So I schedule time to spend with him. So it's not like at the end of the day and I'm exhausted, but he gets a good part of me, right? A happy part of me, a person that's not exhausted to be there. And so for family, right? What are your family goals? Who are the people you want to strengthen that relationship with? And are you going to schedule that? Would you be willing to block off birthdays and anniversaries and holidays to be with them? Spend more time with them. Good stuff, right? Number 3 is friends, right? How many of you have just those few close friends that, like I can call on them. We can just get together, let our hair down, laugh, be silly, right? We need those friends that we can be silly. And we probably all have, that friend we can cry on their shoulder. They can cry on our shoulder. That crazy friend who's like, oh, let's do something adventurous, right? Let's go and do something a little bit crazy or out of the norm. Or that friend that's just that comfy old warm buddy, right? Comfortable sock that you just can hang out with and talk. And it doesn't matter how much time it's been since you last saw each other, you pick up right where you left off, right? Here's something, like if we want to change the world, get to know people, right? Get to know people. When we know people's story and who they are, I think judgment, right? And pain goes out the window. Right? So when you can get to know people and spend more time with them. So who are your friends? right? We need to do a better job. I need to do a better job at making time for friends, right? So who are the top 5 people that you want to text and say, hey, I appreciate you, right? I just love that you're in my life. I know it's been a while, but let's connect, right? Let's do a virtual happy hour if we can't get together in person. I've got Carrie and I, we do that. Like, we'll just get together and like, let's just have a virtual, like, we can't see each other in person and we don't live near each other anymore, but so what? Look at this technology that we have right now that we get to be as connected as we want to be, really. But set up a time to talk, to visit, right? Have some dinner. It's actually one of my things I had to write down. And when we get to the fun stuff, like, what do I like to do for fun? I like to go out to dinner with friends, right? I like to go out for happy hour with friends. I don't necessarily like to go out to dinner just like as a general rule of thumb. Again, it takes so much time, right? And I'm trying to watch what I'm eating and all of that stuff. But when friends are around, I'm like, I love to do that. But write down 5 people, right? 5 people that you want to be closer to, right? Schedule time to be with them. And we're gonna put them in our calendar, right? Number 4 is fun. How many of you have goals around fun? This was when I took my ULA blueprint, the very first assessment. It goes through all 7 areas, and you get to talk about where you are right now and where you want to be. And it assigns you this blueprint that's personally customized to you, your goals, your dreams, and what you want, how you want to design your life. And it kind of feeds you these modules once a week for 12 weeks. And the very first thing it told me that I needed to focus on, I am embarrassed to tell you, it was fun. It was fun. Like, how pathetic am I that I'm 51 years old and the thing that I am neglecting the most in my life, I know better, right? I know better. I've lived too long. I'm older and wiser, right? But I wasn't scheduling enough fun in my day, in my lifestyle, right? And I'm very compartmentalized. I keep, I've got my work, I've got my friends, like everything is in its own little box, right? But what do you like to do for fun? If somebody was to have asked me that before I started working with my ULA blueprint, I wouldn't have been able to answer that. But a month ago, I was out at an event and we were having lunch with some people I had not met before. And it was Diana. She says, Angel, what do you like to do for fun? She actually asked me that. I'm like, oh, I can answer that. And I had a little rattling list of things that I like to do for fun. But had I not taken this assessment and had this blueprint in front of me and been focused on, right? I said, we all have things that we're really awesome at, but there are areas we neglect. And for me, embarrassingly enough, it was fun. Right? So look at what's on your plate. Are there things that you would rather be doing than what's on that plate, right? Doing dishes, right? I would rather do something else, right? Than to be doing dishes, right? Are there some things that are on your plate that you're like, yes, I can do them. I am good at that. And it's not that big a deal to do it. But if I wasn't doing that, I could be doing something else that excites me, brings me more joy, puts a smile on my face, right? Think about what gets you excited. Are you doing, let's do more of what gets us excited. Right? What is something that we get excited about doing, but we keep putting off? So when are we going to do it? Like, these become our bucket list items. So for fun, right? When we think about the fun and scheduling more fun in our day, we want to have some bucket list items. Right? These are big things: travel the world, worldwide cruise, throwing, a fabulous New Year's Eve party, or New Year's Eve in Curacao, like big, super fun, big bucket list items, right? But we also want to have something that every month it's just like a little bit extra. A couple weeks ago, we found this place right around the corner from us, our new house in Orlando. We're within 10, 15, 20 minutes of pretty much anything, every restaurant, every shop, every amusement park, right? We're super close to Disney, super close to Universal Studios. But we found this little place. You can go in, it's $8 for an entry fee. And they have all of these old style arcade games. Do you remember like Centipede and Gallagher and Pac-Man and asteroid, I don't know, all these like arcade games. They also had a little bar and little snack shop, and it was just fun. Like, and so at the end of the game, right, instead of having to put quarters in, you just got to press play again. And I felt like a kid. I told my husband, except for the beer, I feel like I'm in high school. I feel like I'm in high school again. And it was just kind of something fun to do. So number one is having a bucket list item, like something fun you're striving to. But every single month, right? Here's, putting some ideas. If any of you follow Darren Hardy, he and his wife, Georgia, they keep a list of ideas. So when they've got a free day, a free afternoon, and they're like, well, what should we do? Where should we go? What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Like that whole thing back and forth. They have a list, right? They wanted to go on this hike or this picnic or this museum or this art gallery or this cafe. And they, anytime they think of something they'd want to do for fun, when they've got some free time, they keep a list so they can just go to their list and go, let's do that thing today. So every month, right? Do a little something, a little extra. But every day, are you doing something that brings you joy? Is there something like we cannot let too many days in a row go by where we're not smiling, that we're not doing something that excites us, that brings us joy, and that just tickles our toes. And so every single day, what do you like to do? What do you like to do for fun? And can you put a little bit of that in every single day? So one of my for fun everyday things, of course, you guys all know I like my sunsets, right? But in the morning, my husband brings me a cup of coffee in bed. We have these double doors that open out to the outside. We live on a lake now, but we have a swimming pool. And so it's all screened in. It's got a screened in cage around the swimming pool, but that cage is right outside of my bedroom. So I can open up my bedroom doors and be open to the outside, but it's all kind of screened in, so there's no bugs. And so I get to start my day with a cup of coffee and looking out at water, and that brings me joy, right? That's something I can do every single day. That brings me joy. So I'd love to see, like, what do you like to do? Put in the chat. What do you like to do for fun, right? Is it being creative? Is it dancing? Is it, do you have a hobby, right? I don't really have a hobby. My husband has a hobby. I don't really have a hobby at the moment, I don't think, but I do little things, right? Little things that bring me joy, and things that we like to schedule for fun. So I'd love to see, like, what are some things you love to do? Playing with my grandson. Oh, I mean, Jay, anytime there's like a 4-year-old and anywhere that we go, he's going to make such a good grandpa someday. Dancing, knitting. I know I've seen some of the beautiful things you've knit. Baking cookies. I know I love playing in the kitchen too. It's just fun. I went in and I was so impressed. I turned our leftover sweet potatoes from Thanksgiving into a sweet potato bread, like pumpkin bread. It was like a bundt cake bread, oh, it was so yummy. Between Jay and I, in like a week, we finished that thing off. I ate cake every day, but it was good cake, right? Sweet potatoes, right? That's got to be something good. Okay, so that's 4 of them, right? So far, how are you doing, right? If you were to, give yourself a grade on a scale or an A, B, C, D, right? How are you doing when it comes to faith, family, friends, fun, right? On all of those, are there areas that you're really good at, totally focused on? Like, it doesn't even need to be a thing because it's a daily habit for you. It's in your routine. It's kind of, it's kind of your jam. Are there some things that you're like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that, right? I hadn't really thought about putting goals around, family, faith, fun, friends, all of that, right? Okay, so we still have a couple more, right? A couple more in our Fs. And if you decide to join the ULA platform, you'll do an assessment. You'll go through like this 100 checklist, 100 or 7, I think it's 70 questions, 10 questions around each area. Don't quote me on the number of questions, but you'll design, or you'll get an assessment of where you're at, what's super important to you, and what should you be working on. Because if you ever wondered, like, well, where do I focus on? Like, what things should I be doing? Because I feel like I should be here, and we get that guilt going back and forth. Well, every single week, you'll have one of these 7 platforms that you're working on, one module a week. And it's based on the need, right? Which one's like the most important one for you to be working on next. And then it feeds them to you in order. So over the next 12 weeks, you'll have all 12 of these like in order by design that you get to spend time focusing on. There's modules to help you get through it and ideas to bring it all together. So in the next 90 days, you're like, I gotcha, right? I've got this all figured out, which is, I love having a blueprint, right? Like I just think, tell me what to do and I'll do it. It's when we don't know that we're like, oh, where do I go now? Okay. The 5th F number 5 is fitness. Fitness. Do you have any health goals? Sleeping more, exercising more, drinking more water, right? Cutting out sugar, cutting out some habits, right? What are some things around fitness? Do you have any fitness goals that you want to achieve, right? And when it comes to building our business and being an entrepreneur and a small business owner, we have got to take care of our health. So during the pandemic, in that year, that not only was I overworking, overfilling my schedule, not taking weekends off, not going anywhere, eating like crap, right? Because I was just eating junk food and really not like, who cares? I'm not going anywhere. I was wearing yoga pants. So I couldn't really tell if my clothes were fitting or not because I was wearing t-shirts and yoga pants every day. And then one day, it was Easter and we went and had Easter dinner with my parents and had a photo taken. And I saw the picture of me and I looked like a beach ball. Like, I don't know what happened to Angel, but somewhere I had eaten a beach ball had eaten me. Like, I don't know. It was like my cheeks were round. I didn't have a waist anymore. And I'm looking at this photo and it truly was. I'm like, I didn't even recognize myself in the photo. I wonder if I could pull it up really quick because it is, nobody believes me. They're like, Angel, you looked fine the whole time. I'm like, no, like I did not look fine. I looked like a beach ball, right? Look, like there's no waist. Where's my thing, right? There's no waist in there. Look at that. There's like no waist in that at all. And I just look like a little beach ball. And I didn't even know it, right? So I had to set up some fitness goals for myself. Like I said, now I am, look at that cute little waist. Oh, that's so much better. So I had started working out and, being very hyper focused on my fitness goals so that I could lose my pandemic weight. And so I set up, right, more goals around drinking water. And how did I start drinking more water? Because I knew I wasn't going to give up coffee. I knew I wasn't going to give up, some of my favorite things. So in between every cup of coffee, I drink a glass of water. Like, that's something easy that I could do, right, around my fitness goals. So in between a cup of coffee, I drink a water. In between glasses of wine or cocktails, right, drink a water in between, right, so that I could get closer, right, put these habits back into my life and set myself up for success. So what are some of your top fitness goals? Sleeping more. I love to sleep. I'm a sleeper. I was born in the middle of the day and I'm not a late night person and I'm not an early morning person. I could seriously sleep 10 to 12 hours every night. I'm a sleeper and that's just who I am. So, but some people have a hard time sleeping, right? And they need to schedule, right? Go to sleep a little bit earlier, right? Spend more time, maybe napping. Napping is like, if you can put some wiggle room in your day for a nap, a power nap, I've heard that is like one of the best things. I'm not a napper, but there's lots of studies and science that supports napping, but you've got to put some space, right, into your day. Okay. Number 6, F is finances. What are your top financial goals? Right? That one, I think money is like an easy one because it's so trackable, right? You can add it up and you're like, okay, I'm going to do X and it's divided and divisible and this many numbers and this many clients. And, finances is always, I think, a really fun goal to set because it's so trackable. But is it money earned? Is it money saved? number of customers served, right? How much you're giving back to charities, right? And donations, right? Numbers. And I'm not a math person. I just like numbers when it comes to dollar signs and commas, right? I want zeros and commas and dollar signs. And all of a sudden I'm a numbers girl, not a math girl, but a numbers girl. But in order to create these financial goals, right? In order to elevate, we have got to consistently create new exposure, right? If we're going to make more money, we've got to create more exposure. We need to be in front of more clients. We need to figure out how to automate that, to scale that, put more digital products in that, speaking one to many, right? Instead of one-on-one, no more onesies, right? We need to bring in new clients. We need to bring in new leads, automation, scaling, all of that. Are you growing, right? Do you know what you sell, right? Do you even have that? You know, that might be a good place to start, right? Well, in order to make more money, I got to sell something, right? And there's lots of things we can sell, right? Sell our products, sell our services, sell our time, sell our resources, sell our stuff, right? We got to sell something if we're going to be ringing the register, right? If we're going to be increasing our revenue. So hire rockstar talent, right? Like this is a critical piece. Like who's on your team? When you look at what's on your plate, should it be on your plate? Right? Are there things that we should be delegating to somebody else? Because if it doesn't excite you, I promise you, there is somebody who it does. Like they love filing, they love editing, they love SEO, they love designing websites, right? There's things on our plate that we're like, I'm not so great at, takes me forever, doesn't light me up. There's always somebody in the world who's like, ooh, give me that. I love filing, right? I really do love filing. Like, isn't that funny? It's not now. I used to actually have a job where I was a filer and I just loved it. It was an entry level at a big company, and it truly, there was nothing wrong with that. Like I just loved filing. But before I was in media, right, I was always a behind the scenes girl. Post-it notes and spreadsheets and filing tabs. I loved all those, office supplies and things like that, right? Like I love that stuff. It gets me all excited. It's just not, it doesn't make me money. And so that's not where I spend my time right now. So think about how you can hire rock star talent or barter or collaborate or, we used to do this with when we had kids at home, like I'll babysit for you if you'll babysit for me, like I'll do this for you if you'll do this for me. There's always somebody else, right, that's willing to take some of the load off of you. But you have to ask for help, right? I need help. I can't do this all on my own, right? And you should not be, right? You do not have to be the jack of all trades in doing everything. There are things that are on your plate that we're going to put on somebody else's plate. We either want to dump them off of yours, outsource it, delegate it, automate it, scale it. Like there's all these things. There's all sorts of other resources out there. And if you're thinking, but if I don't do it, it won't get done. So what? Does it have to be? Sometimes we get ourselves so attached to certain things. And, it was like when I taught my kids how to load the dishwasher. Okay, did they do it the way I would do it? No. So what? Like it's okay. There are some things we can just let go of and release out into the world. So your job, right, is to build the best business and culture where people feel valued. Right? You want to make sure that you have a great team around you that is either your outsourcing team, your VA team, your actual employees. Right? You want to make sure that you help people to feel valued and figure out how you can turn what you do on accident to on purpose. And by that, I mean, like, you're like, oh, I just naturally do that. Right? I just naturally know how to file. I just naturally know about time management. I just naturally know about writing or editing. Like I just do this, like, but what you think is ordinary is magic to other people. So figure out how to turn what you do on accident to on purpose so that you can monetize that, right? It gives you something that you can sell your knowledge, right? Not your time. We can create digital courses, books, PDFs, programs, services, right? All of that so that you can create even more residual revenue. Yeah, stop dragging your feet because you're unsure. So often we're like, well, what about this? And would anybody even buy it? And would anybody even want it? And will that even work? Stop dragging your feet because you're unsure. Go for it. Go all in, 100% all in, because it's your excitement, your passion, your enthusiasm that people will be drawn to. And your passion can also be the thing that keeps you from charging what you're worth, right? Undervaluing what it is that you do because you do it so naturally and organically. You forget how valuable it is. So hire a business coach, get around business coaches that can help you to price out your programs, your products, and your services. And most cases, we're undercharging, right? We're undercharging in many cases. Create more opportunities where you can connect with people, right? Connect with people and attract the right clients. We leverage media and publicity, what I call OPP, other people's platforms, speak on other people's stages, get booked on other people's podcasts, sharing your ordinary, right? Sharing your natural talent, your natural giftedness, because that is truly what people are, they are just craving that. What you do in your sleep is keeping other people up at night, right? So you do you, stay in your lane, and then monetize it. Create more channel partners, right? Affiliate partners, people that share the same customer base as you. Think about who is your upstream and your downstream. For me, right? Like we all solve something for our clients, but we also create problems for them. So for me, some of the problems I create is you need a squeeze page, right? You need some technology, you need some digital products, you need a book, right? There's certain things that now that you've worked with me, you need. And so I've got some digital partners, some affiliate partners that I can recommend, right, for technology and for coaching. This ULA program, for example, right, to help you get on track. You have marketing partners that are your upstream or downstream that you could bring in to collaborate together. They'll promote you to their leads and you promote, like you can have this nice little trifecta. I'll tell my group about you, you tell your group about me. I'll tell my group about you, you tell your group about me. How many channel partners could you possibly have? More, probably more than you're using now. That's the secret behind Constant Contact. How many of you are familiar with Constant Contact, right? Use it for your CRM. How did they get so big so fast and end up becoming this billion-dollar company? Is they leveraged channel partners, affiliate partners, JV, joint ventures, other people who were speaking to their same target audience. They sponsored things, they did email swaps, they did marketing campaigns together. So think about who are your partners that you could create more exposure and revenue. Like those are your two things, right? So that's financial, right? My financial. One more thing, right? You can optimize with digital products, creating a membership site for just a few dollars a month. So think about this, $10 a month times 1,000 people is $10,000 a month with a membership site, residual revenue, recurring income. So if you could just use like, I just need a little more revenue. I just need a little more income. These are my financial goals. These are my numbers, but I'd like to add another zero or another comma to that. $10 a month. That's or $10,000 a month is 1,000 people spending $10. Easy peasy, right? 200 books, right? That's $5,000 a month without adding any new clients into your schedule, right? We're protecting your schedule, selling books, 200 books. That's 25 books twice a month. If you're doing 2 interviews a week, 25 books each time, you get to 200 books. That's $5,000. It's like printing money, right? There is value in your existing database and you can make a fortune selling low ticket items to lots of people. The last F is your field, right? Your industry, your job, right? Your business. So who do you need on your team? Who do you need to connect with, right? And as you're looking, like, what did you do this week to create a remarkable business? I mean, are you just going through the motions? Are we just letting weeks go by where we're not really growing? Or are we being very intentional? So what did you do this week to create a remarkable business? your vehicle, or your business should be the vehicle to live a life of happiness, not the obstacle. It should be the vehicle to help you live your life of happiness, not the obstacle. If it's in the way, let's rework that, right? Let's get some boundaries. Let's get some control back over it. Exposure and revenue, right? Let's find more ways, more marketing partners, more platforms that we can speak on, other people's stages, and let's get ourselves back into where it's creating that life of happiness and not the obstacle. So focus on outside stages, podcasts, sponsorships, press releases, right? And remember this, that the best ideas are simple. And Jeff Hoffman from Priceline says, your success is someone else's miracle. Your success is someone else's miracle. The reason we create success is so that we can go and give back and make that impact in the world, and to create an incredible legacy, right? To create a legacy for other people, to change their story, right? Sometimes it's our story that needs to change, but with more money, we can do more good. When we are healthier, right, we can serve more. When we have more faith in our lives, right, we can control that emotional quotient, right, and get off that emotional roller coaster. So as you look through, right, you have 7 areas, you have some goals for each one of those, and you're like, okay, my plate was already full, Angel. Where am I going to put all of this in, right? Think about, like, of those 7, what are the areas that you're strongest in? And what are the areas that you've kind of got, okay, these ones I could use a little more effort in. Like, I've been neglecting these. I've been allowing them to drift away and thinking, like, eventually I'll get there. Like me with my weight, it just kept gaining and gaining. And I just, like, you know what? It just wasn't, I never thought it would actually get to where it did, but I just allowed it to, right? Just slowly, slowly, slowly. So what are those areas? What is the F you're strongest in? And what is the F that you need a little more energy and attention to be sent there? I'd love to see your comments in the chat. What F are you strongest in? Or, right, like maybe even strong might not even be the right word. Like, this is the one I focus on the most. This is the one I spend more time in. But this is the one I need to spend more time in. And so for me, right, my F that I needed to spend more time in was fun. And so now we're putting more fun, and I'm excited about that. The financial, and now my fitness are probably like super strong right now. And fun is like, it's coming back on there. So strongest in faith and field. Yes, I can see that totally in you, Carrie, working on fun and fitness. Yeah, I get up now, and I get up early. I started getting out. My friend wanted to be in the 5 a.m. club. I'm not an early morning person anymore. I used to get up. I used to be at the studio, right? I'd leave, go at 3:30 in the morning to the radio studio. So I don't want to do that ever again in my life. But 5 a.m. for her Mountain Time was 7 a.m. for me Eastern Time. So I get up and I work out with her in the morning. Finance, need to spend more time in faith and field. Love that. Strongest in faith, need to focus more on fun. Fabulous. All right. Well, I am going to post a link into the chat box for you guys to check out this ULA blueprint. The membership for this is $45 a month to be a part of our inner circle. You get the assessment. You have 12 weeks of modules that are going to help you to focus on, like, all of these seven areas. You're going to have a daily app that helps you to track your goals and set up your success every single day. And then, of course, we have an online group. We are part of something really big and fabulous that is going on in the world, making a huge impact. In fact, I'm going to Nashville this coming weekend to get even more involved in the community, but would love for you to check that out and get enrolled as a member and try it for the next 90 days and see if it doesn't just change your life and just rock your world. Okay, so we've got to get super clear. So we had our dream, we improved our schedule. shifting our focus, right? There's 7 areas, right, where we're thinking about all of the things that really are going to be designing that ideal ooh la la lifestyle, right? All 7 areas. And so now we've got to create some clarity, right? There's a lot of things now, right? I've got now 7 things, and all of Angel, you just added, right? Angel, you just added all these more things. Where am I going to put those in? Well, we've got to get super clear on what's the most important, right? Because we're filling our time with a whole lot of stuff that's not productive, right? If you look at these 7 things and then you look again at your plate, is there misalignment? Do they match up? And do you see that if you filled your plate with these things, does that get you closer to that dream sheet, that what if sheet of yours? And in most cases, you're like, yep, that's exactly what I was missing, right? I want my life to look like this, but my plate is the opposite. But here are these 7 F's, and I see, right, when I've got more faith, family, fun, fitnesses, finance, when I have all of that, it's a whole lot closer to really what my dream life could look like. So now we want to start to map out our whole year and to start to measure, right, to measure our success. So we're going into C for clarity. So now that you see, right, this is what I want my life to look like. What are your goals for the next 90 days? What are the top things that you really want to see 90 days from today, which is just 12 weeks, right? When we're going to start to break this down into our daily, like, manageable steps, our weekly activities, right? What do I really want to look at? What are your goals for the next 90 days? We're going to start taking weekends off, right? We're going to have some break time, one day off, like a free day, a creative day during the week. But we want to start to say, like, this is what I'm going to fill the rest of the time. This is what I'm going to fill that time with. So what are your top goals for the next 90 days? So if you were to pick out of your 7 F's, right? Not all of them, we don't have to have 7. But if you picked, 1 to 3 goals that you were going to really focus on over the next 90 days. For many of us, right, we have our field goals, our work goals, right? Things that we want our work to do. Those are your marketing campaigns, right? So if you think about in just the area of your field, right? And many times this is also in our finances, right? Putting our business into breaking it down into 4 quarterly marketing campaigns, right? 4 things that I want to accomplish next year with our business, right? And breaking that down into those 90-day baby steps, right? Those 90-day milestones. And by breaking that down, right, we can say, okay, if this is my goal, these are then the steps and the action things that have to happen. I can start to measure that. And so if one of our goals, right, Albert was, he wanted to have a $100,000 coaching business, right? And so if I'm just going to guess, because he's not here, I'm going to get my trusty dusty calculator, right? 100,000. So what is that? 25,000 a quarter, right? So that's 25K a quarter. And if he is going to charge 5,000 for his coaching, that's 5 clients a quarter. So over the next 90 days, his goal would be to get 5 new coaching clients. Do you see how, like, when we start to, like, here's this big thing, 100,000, right? How am I going to get there from here today? Well, when we break that down, right, into those quarterly goals, right, those 90-day goals, and what does that look like, right? It's 5. Do you think that he could create some exposure? Do you think he could speak on some other people's stages? He could do some ads, some email campaigns, some marketing campaigns, right? Create some exposure to put him in front of the right people in order to bring in 5. I mean, that's the kind of thing truly you could do in a weekend, or like in, 1 3-day event. He could get 5 coaching clients. If he pulled together an event, a 3-day event, and filled that up and could bring out 5 clients out of that one event. This does not have to be slow. The universe loves speed, right? It loves when we go all in. Like one of my goals, right, was to hit 15,000 minutes on my Peloton in, so that was a 10-week goal, right? I broke it down. It was 500 minutes a week, which is about 75 minutes a day, which is a 45-minute, I broke it down even more. It's a 45-minute ride on the bike and a 30-minute yoga or strength training or Pilates or a bar, right? 45 minutes on the bike and 30 minutes. And I do that every day. I get to my 500 minutes a week. And I've been doing that now. I think I have, how many weeks left? Where are we at? 1, 2, 3, I have 4 weeks left. So I'm almost to 4 weeks, right? So I have about 2,200 minutes left. But do you see, by breaking it down and what those baby steps will be? But think about this. If you have 12 milestones that your business is going to hit this year, that's 12 headlines, just 12. Like my business, look at your to-do list, look at your calendar, and you're like, I'm running circles around. I'm launching a course. I'm developing a new website. I'm hiring a rock star team. I'm publishing a book. We're doing a book tour. We're speaking on this stage. You look at all the things that you are doing, you could come up with 12 items that are your monthly goals that we could create press releases around and create that exposure and create that momentum for you. And think about, okay, so if I'm going to do that, like what are the baby steps? What are the action steps that I really need to be doing every day? And if you just had three action steps that you took every day that moved you closer to your goals, there's still other things you're going to do. But if you looked at your mirror goal, right, the goal that's on your mirror, that big hairy goal, this 90 days, what do I want to do in the next 90 days? And these 3 things, if I do these things every day, I'm going to hit that, and I get to mark that off and celebrate and put out a press release and hallelujah, look what we did. So think about your goals for the next 90 days or 6 months and a year from now. 1, 2, 3, right? These are my goals. These are my 12. I'm going to have 12 headlines. Like that's just for my business, but maybe it's a fitness goal. Maybe it's, fun and friends and family, right? What are the top ones that are most important to you? And then what are the 3 things that I can do to get closer to that moves me closer? So then you're not just busy, right? We're not just on the hamster wheel. We're actually being productive and purposeful. And we're designing it. That's what we get with our ULO app, is every day we get to check off and mark off, I did these 3 things that are getting me closer to my goal. So you stay focused, because where where attention goes, energy flows, right? You get what you want, right? So think about it, become obsessed with what you want and schedule that. We're going to schedule your success. So you have your 90-day goals. Still working on that? Not sure what you want it to be? You get to design it. You get to choose it. And then you get to share it with somebody else, right? So we just need to be clear, right? This is what I want. These are my 7 F's. We've said this is who I want to hang out with. This is what I want that to look like. We created our dream of what if, right? What if it was? What if I did have a day off during the week? What if I did write that novel? What if I did create another income source for people? What if I did? Right? And now we look at it and we're like, okay, here's how I'm going to do that. And I'm going to start to schedule that in with these baby steps, right? With these baby steps, but I'm going to stay super focused. These are my 12 headlines, right? This is my monthly goals that I'm going to hit. And now I'm going to back out of that into the daily activities. Okay. That's the clarity. Get super clear, right? And then start to baby step into it. Comments, questions so far on getting clear on those 180-day goals, 6-month goals. I like working in quarters. Actually, I like working in quarters for my business with marketing campaigns, but I really like to schedule. I schedule my business more in trimesters. So that way, every year or every quarter, I have time I can take a week off. Instead of scheduling my business so tight as, 12 weeks, 12 weeks, 12 weeks, right? I kind of break it down into trimesters so that I've got some wiggle room and some vacation time in there. And so we've already scheduled our 2 days off, right, for our weekends. We've scheduled our 1 day off for creativity and being innovative and time to think. Every quarter, I want you to schedule a week off, right? This came from the Marginaire, right? Every quarter, have 1 week where you're just taking a break. You're taking a vacation, you're taking a break, you're reassessing, you're recharging, you're refueling. I told you that my kids had worked year round or were on year round schools, and they would do 9 weeks on, 3 weeks off. It was such a beautiful way for them to go through school because they knew they were going to have a break. They could work really hard and then we'd have a break, and we'd often go somewhere as a family and we'd celebrate and take some time off. Are you scheduling your time off? Do you already have your breaks and your vacations scheduled for this next year? Right? Do you have those family holidays, those special days? I've got 2 nieces that are getting married next year. And so we're already figuring out, right, how we can be in those places during that time and putting that in as a priority. Now, if your business is a hobby and you're like, I'm not putting enough time in my business and I have way too much downtime, then flip that around. Put your work time in and schedule that first so that every day, right, you're committed to getting exposure, right, increasing your revenue, growing your database, and growing your customer base. If you're trying to turn your business, your hobby, into a lucrative business, then schedule that first. But for many of us who are entrepreneurs, we're kind of wacky in that we love to work and we work all the time. And what we need to schedule more of is our downtime, our vacation time, our fun time, our time with friends, our time for fitness. I told you at Easter time that I had discovered I was looking like a beach ball. And I started following a gal who had a very intensive fitness plan. And her fitness plan required 2 hours a day of exercise. How many of you would look at that and go, no way, like, where do you put that in? Now, it was during the pandemic. We weren't traveling. We weren't, sitting in traffic or any of that anymore. So it kind of worked out okay. But when you think about, like, if something came along and it required 2 extra hours out of your day, where would you put that in? Look at your plate, right? If anything's going to go from good to great, it's going to take some time. So we're going to have to take some things off of our plate. We're going to have to recognize, what do we have that's on there, and what can we, what would I rather be doing? What would be a more effective use of my time? And so I started working out in the morning an hour and in the afternoon an hour. And it wasn't perfect. Like, I wasn't excellent at it, but I was okay at it. And what I realized is, right, like with all of us, if you want it to happen, you will find a way. And if you don't, you will find an excuse. So are there things that you truly want to see happen? You've got these goals in front of you and you're like, I do, but there's just no time. We all have the same amount of time. It's what we do with it, what we prioritize. And people will always want to come in and pull you off of that. Right? There will always be people who will want to, take advantage of your time if you don't set the boundaries around it. So we've got to create these appointments on our schedule and hold them dear, right? We're not scheduling. Like, if that's lunchtime, then it's lunchtime, right? I can't meet with you at 2:00 because I already have an appointment, right? I'm booked at that time. I promise you, as soon as you start to put some boundaries around scheduling with you, I have a business coach. He says, no unscheduled calls, right? You only take calls. You don't just pick up the phone and let people, get your schedule all wonky, right? Unless you've built in the time for that. And so no unscheduled calls. Put your priorities in first. You guys have seen and probably heard the story about the big rocks in the jar, right? If we start with a big, pickle jar, and if we've got little rocks and, medium-sized rocks and big rocks, if we fill the jar with little rocks, then we won't have any room for the big rocks. But if you fill the jar first with the big rocks, and then you pour the little rocks in, the little rocks kind of move around the nooks and crannies and fill in the space, right, around the big rocks. That's what scheduling your priorities is. You put the big rocks in: faith, family, fun, fitness, right? Put the big rocks in your schedule, and then all the little rocks, the extra little stuff, right? They fill in the gaps in the nooks and the crannies. But no matter what, we've prioritized and put the good stuff in. And the good stuff includes self-care time. The good stuff includes time with friends and family, fitness and fun. Doesn't that excite you? Like, it excites me to think that I used to only just schedule the hard stuff. I used to only just schedule the work stuff. I didn't schedule the fun and the family and the self-care, right? I'm a bath girl. I love taking bubble baths, right? And so at first, right, to get myself in the habit and a routine, I would schedule them. I would put them in. I'm scheduling my fitness time. I'm scheduling when to eat my lunch to get myself into the habit. And so let's talk about habits. So C is clarity, right? We're getting super clear. These are my goals for the next 90 days. And these are the action steps I need to take every day to move myself closer to those goals. And we're going to start to schedule that in. The O, right, is to optimize with our systems, our routines, and our habits, right? Our systems, our routines, and our habits. So we're going to start talking about some of the tools like color coding and time blocking and developing these habits, right? Who do you need on your team? Who do you need to connect with? What do you need the most help with? So if you have, right, some, like, what are your favorite time blocking tools or organizing tools? Number one, you guys have to get a calendar system, an online calendar system that people can book with you, right? There's so much going back and forth, right? Can you meet at 2 o'clock? No, but I can do 4. How about this? How about that? There's online scheduling tools where people can go and they can just find a time on your calendar. I remember when I first did that, I was nervous as I'll get out that I was going to have people booking on my calendar because I was a filler, right? I was too in control of my calendar, but I was able to put some boundaries in, put some safeguards in, and so people could only book, right, on days and times that I was in control of, and they will find a time, right? Doodle poll, right, allows you, when you've got a group of people that you're trying to all find the same time together, right, that you can use the automation, use technology as your friend. If you are repeating yourself over and over again, answering the same questions over and over again, create some templates, right? How do we get to my office, right? Here's the copy and paste template, right? Scripts for frequently asked questions. But you know what the best use of duplicating yourself is, and especially in things you're saying over and over again, is creating videos. Turn on your Zoom camera and create a video that onboards clients, that walks them through your software, that walks them through your scheduling, that walks them through your process, and create a series of videos that you can post and have online or on YouTube as unlisted videos. When they're unlisted, the only people that can find them are the people you send a link to that unlisted video. So if you're saying the same thing over and over again, you're just, that's where you start to get burnt out, right? We're doing a whole lot of things that aren't effective. They're not in my dream list, right? They're not in one of those 7 F's. If you're teaching something to clients over and over again, record yourself. Videos are going to be your best friend, like one of your greatest tools for optimizing your schedule this year, because you can record it once and send people the video. I send people, just send videos. If you're going to answer that question, record it and then have it there the next time somebody asks you for it. start paying attention to the conversations that you're having, right? Just even in this next week, what do people ask you? Anytime somebody asks you a question, I want you to write that down. And then I want you to make a video that answers it, or an email script, or a template, right? That answers that question, so that you can start to free yourself up from, the grind, right? From the grind of feeling like you're just giving things away all of the time, right? For free. So what are some tools that you guys are using? What are some of your favorite systems for automation, for technology, for streamlining your schedule? One of the things that I use, of course, is my sticky notes, right? Little things that I need to remember, get it out of my head so that my brain is free to be creative, right? Anytime I've got 2 or 3 things that are like, okay, I need to do this and this. Once it hits 3, I make a list. I start a list. So it's not in my head. My head is free to be creative, and it's not trying to remember all of these. Oh, I was going to buy this. I was going to call that person. Oh, I wanted to have this for my next chapter title. If you've got like a little teeny notebook, we used to call these shoot pads, or whatever you want to call it, right? This was from my PGA days. We would carry around these teeny little shoot pads. These fit in your pocket, right? They fit in your purse, but you can keep these little shoot pads, and they would be because we would get away from the desk. We'd be out on the golf course, and we'd be like, oh shoot, I was going to call this. Oh shoot, I need to call that person. I need to do this. I need to do that. And we could just write it in our little shoot pad, right? Keep an shoot pad around, right? In the kitchen, in your desk, right? In the car, in your purse. So it gets out of your head and written down. And what's so amazing about our brains is when we write it down, even if I don't go back, I don't always have to go back and look at it to remember it. It like solved the remembering process for me most of the time. But if it doesn't, I have it written down. Right? So keep a little shoot pad, right? For those little moments, right? Next to the bed at night. Any of you wake up in the night and you're like, oh, I need to remember this. I need this, right? Keep a little shoot pad written down or handy. But would love to see like what other little tools and tricks do you guys use? I'm going to give you all my little favorites, but would love to hear some more of yours. So my wall calendar, right? As my visual for the year. And so as we are taking days off, right? And I'm scheduling my family time, I'm scheduling my vacation, I'm scheduling when I'm speaking on other people's stages. My formula is 2 interviews a week and 1 press release a month. That gives me the exposure, right? To keep me in front of new leads, right? To keep my story out in the marketplace, and to monetize that on the back end. So if I'm going to be doing something like that, 2 interviews a week in my calendar, I'm going to color code those activities. So some of the activities, right, that I color code, I have 3 of them. It's my family and personal time, my work, like when I'm actually working, like appointments, calls, actual work stuff. And then my OPP, other people's platforms. That's such a big priority for me to be speaking and to getting the exposure. I color code it so I can see on a glance in my calendar those events. And when I go, okay, I'm not making any money, or my business isn't growing, or I don't have anybody, I'm like, well, what was the last time I did an interview? When was the last time I spoke on a stage? Am I doing 2 a week? And so I do color coding for my top priorities. I only have 3. I don't color code 30 million things, right? But I color code my family and personal time. Like that could be my faith, family, friends, and fun, right? Could all be in that same color code for me personally. You might want to have 4 different colors for each of them, but they kind of all like, that's my faith, family, fun stuff, right? And friends. So my vacations, my travel, dinner with friends, right? I even put my workout time in there. My actual work time, right, gets its own, and then OPP, other people's platforms where I'm speaking. So I'd love to hear, like, if you were to color code your top priorities, what are those top priorities? What are those top priorities for you that and this is on my electronic calendar. right? So that I can just look at, a glance on my calendar and see, am I on track? Right? Am I off? Am I not? I've had clients come to me and like, Angel, I'm not making any money. I'm like, well, when was the last time you did this? And I go, 4 months ago. Okay, right? This allows us, right? When we've got it so buttoned up, right? We're color coding. We've got our top, 180-day goals, our activities that we're needing to do every day to get us closer to those goals. And we can see on the visual what it is that it, physically looks like. You can see the harmony, right? You can see that, you can feel the harmony in your life, because you're like, I get a break. I get some fun stuff. I don't mind working hard. I don't mind being busy, right? And doing the hard work, because I know that rest and peace and fun is coming, like it's built in. And not going 3 months, right, where I'm just working like a dog and not celebrating my successes and not reaping the rewards. I've got it built in and I can physically see it on my calendar, right? And this allows us to create a covenant of abundance that helps others create a covenant of abundance, because truly we live in an amazing time, right? There's so much, there's an abundance of resources, really, and we get what we focus on. And if we are not feeling peace and harmony and love and joy, we really just have to look at our calendar to see, where are we off track, right? What am I neglecting? What am I missing? And it's not, remember, we're not tired because we're doing too much. We're tired because we're doing too much of what doesn't light us up. So you have your what if, right? You have your what if, and you have your 7 F's. You can totally see, like, okay, when I can focus on these things, these are my big rocks, and all this other stuff on my plate, it can fill in. And if it doesn't, so what? Like, I didn't get the laundry done. I didn't actually make it to the grocery store. You know what? They'll deliver, right? They'll deliver the groceries. I didn't wash the dog. You know what? There's this cute little app, and they'll come to the little mobile thing will come and they'll wash my dog for me, right? Okay, well, that costs money, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go and I'm going to sell some books. How many books do I need to sell in order to elevate my lifestyle? So I've got my time back. I need to sell 7 books. All right, who do I know that I can ask, invite, tell, beg, and create some instant cash and instant revenue, right? I can create a membership site, and sell it for $10 a month, right? And I can start to add that up. That's an easy thing. There are things that we can do. So if it matters to us and it's important to us, we will find a way. If it's not, we will find an excuse. So pay attention. When somebody asks you to do something and you're committing, are you giving an excuse, or are you finding a way? That's your litmus test. If you find yourself giving an excuse, or even looking at your list and going, okay, this has been on here for 3 days, I'm not getting it done. Well, maybe I'm not the one that's supposed to be doing it. Who do I know that would rather do that? What tool do I have that could take that off of my plate? Who could I give that to, or what, how can I get that off? And all of a sudden your life is starting to look a whole lot more like your dream what if. Do you feel that? Do you start to see that, all how it's coming together by design? So Diane, right? Purple is your family and faith. Blue is training. Green, income producing, right? I like it, right? And then yellow is seminars. I do put in, right? Like every every quarter and every month, like these are my seminars, and this is me just doing something in personal development. And so you find, like, what are your priorities? And so when you look at that, Diane, and you see the colors, right? Purple, blue, green, yellow, like, what do you want to see the most of? Is it an equitable rainbow? Do I need to see a lot more green, right? And You know, and I don't know what was some of these others. You know, do I need to see how much purple, how much green, you know, what do I want that balance to be? Have you ever done um, where you're tracking your food, right? There's this app called MyFitnessPal, and you can track your food and you can tell it, I want to have, you know, 30% carbs, 20% fat, and 50% protein or whatever, right? You create your macros, and it gives you a pie chart so that, you know, you've got your 30, 30, 30, 30, or 50, 20, 20. Like, what do you want your chart to look like? How much of that color do you want to see in there to say, I am designing my ideal life? I want to see purple in there every day, right? I want to see one day a month it's only purple. Right? You get to decide, like, how much purple. I want to see green every day. I want something that's income producing every single day that I am doing, right? I need 4 hours of income producing every single day, right? This is what I need to see. And you start to, it's this visual, and you're like, okay, I can see it now, right? I've only been putting in 30 minutes and little wiggle times, and I've been filling it with, you know, organizing my office or shopping on Amazon and scrolling through Facebook, right? None of that's in there. None of that, right, is in our faith goal, in our 7 goals. But yet, I just spent 6 hours, right, of this week. My phone tells me how much screen time that I had over the week before. And it's fascinating. You're like, where did that come from? And how did I get there from here? But when you've got this color coding, right? And you're like, I can now visually see it. I can visually see it. So I'm taking my weekends off. I have my one day, right, of creativity, innovation, big thinking, some downtime. Maybe it's friends and family. I'm color coding. And I now, when I look at my dream and I look at my calendar, and I can see it coming together, like overlaying on each other. Or I can see, you know what, this still looks way out of whack, but I can see where it's out of whack, right? And I can see now how I can start to shift it over so that I have peace and harmony in my life, right? And creating that covenant of abundance. I'm giving back, I'm fueling me, right? I'm in charge of me. I get to decide. I'm in charge of my emotions. I'm sleeping better. I'm drinking more water. I'm healthier. I have all this, right? So now mastering the calendar, right? We're going to master our calendar. Any comments or anything before we go into that?